r/AskReddit by Reddify. What is the creepiest thing that society accepts as a cultural norm? When someone from a big city is used to standing close enough to impregnate you when they want to tell you something. Like, back up Methodica. I can still hear you at an arm's length away from my face. Lol, I definitely do this. Was from a small town. Lived in a big city and used public transport for the duration. Went back to a small town and realized people were backing up from me in conversation. Circumcision. Who in their right mind thought it'd be a good idea to mutilate the genitals of an infant? American Dad here, not the animated one. I never thought about much of this. They just did it. I was circumcised. All the kids I'd see in the locker room when I was in school were. Fast forward to becoming a dad, between my second and third son were born, my eyes were opened. We didn't have my third son circumcised. So his older brothers are, and has not, and I feel bad, but the older ones. In so many cases it's unnecessary. One of my sons is circumcised, and the other one isn't. Neither was my choice. But I don't think it matters too much in the long run. I wouldn't willingly do it to my child. But I don't necessarily think you should feel bad about it. You made a decision, based on the information you had at the time. My boys are 11 and 9 and rarely discuss the state of their peen. Neither seems to be too concerned about it. Again, if it were up to me, I wouldn't have made the decision to circumcise. But I'm not sure how much it matters in the long run. The human ex-slave trafficking that we all know happens, yet we do nothing about. We just look at prostitution and the slavery that it entails as a cultural norm. I don't think most people accept it as a norm. I sure as don't. Maybe not that accepted in the West, but for example Thailand has a huge income of tourists coming from our civilized countries to duck little boys and girls. Bombings in the Middle East. People don't give a FK unless it is in a Western country. Pretty sad really. Domestic abuse from women towards men is cool. Blind worship of the flag and societal pressure to pledge allegiance to that flag. The whole thing, where fathers are like super jealously protective of their daughter's sexuality. I get wanting your kids to be safe and not getting pregnant. But a lot of times it comes across kinda creepy to me. I remember this one video of a guy finding out his son had X and being like, hey, I get it, son. Nice. I know my daughter wouldn't let a guy do that to her. Then he finds out she actually has X and flips it. That video pissed me off so much. The way we view children and their bodies. Children are people, but for some reason we think it's okay to make unnecessary irreversible changes to their bodies, circumcision, and ear piercing. Force them to touch adults and family members they don't want to hug or kiss. And hit them if we don't like their behavior. It creeps me the duck out. The fact that it's your child doesn't mean that their body belongs to you. They too deserve physical autonomy. While your point is entirely valid, I'd just like to point out that ear piercing is entirely reversible. Can't afford that life-saving operation? Too bad. You die. Donald Trump. Cigarettes. They're hella addictive. They cost a lot of money. They are terrible for the earth. The buds have metals that pollute the ocean via runoff, messing with ocean pH levels. And many people think it's okay to just put them on the ground for some reason. They smell rather unpleasant to most people who don't smoke. And they are bad for one's body in multiple ways, which impacts general fitness and quality of life, whether you know it or not. Hell, they even diminish the sense of taste a bit. So I've heard. Cigarettes are a disease on humanity. And I'm sorry to everyone who has the habit of smoking them. Imo. They should not exist. Despite however nice that buzz feels. It's a trap. Edit. Clarity. I've been in Europe for a few weeks now, and I've been very surprised at the amount of young people smoking cigarettes. It seems like almost every 20-something has a cigarette in their mouth walking down the street. I guess the US is doing a good job of something finally, because smoking is becoming a very unpopular thing in the States. A Chinese guy who's in the States for training told me at work that smoking being bad for you is just an American myth. Men getting aped in prison is funny and joked about. Giving a hit, what celebrities say about politics, etc. Old men exily harassing younger women. I step in for some of my younger staff because of some of the things they have had to put up with. Old men sexually harassing younger women. We asked for what society accepts as a cultural norm, not what Republicans accept in their presidential candidate. Edit. To everyone responding, yes. I'm sorry I made fun of the ducking Republican candidate for president of the goddamn United States of America for saying grab women by the pussy. I can see why there is no humor as this, and it should be ignored. I also realize that other Democrats have also had sex with people that are not their wives. Most notably Bill Clinton and JFK, more on that later. I now realize that taking down people in power by poking fun at them is completely un-American and should never be done again. I also have come to terms that making fun of the ducking Republican nominee for president joking about grabbing women by the ducking pussy makes me a paid shill for the DNC. Because God knows it's a completely rational statement that should never be brought up again in political discourse. Again, there is no way or reason to poke humor at the fact that the best defense Sean Hannity could come up with after swallowing Trump's cock and dusting orange makeup off his upper lip was that King David, who ruled in 10th BC, had 500 concubines. In closing, there is nothing funny about this situation whatsoever, and I apologize from the depths of my heart for making light of an American politician, which, as we all know, has never been done before in all of American history. So, on the Kennedy thing, of all the weird coincidences between Lincoln and Kennedy, the weirdest one was that 11 days before his assassination Lincoln was in Monroe, Maryland, and 11 days before Kennedy was shot he was in Maryland, Monroe. The 24th of November 2016. Reddit admin and CEO/u/spez admits to editing Reddit user comments without the knowledge or consent of that user. This 7-year-old account will be scrubbed and deleted because Reddit is now fully compromised. The belief in ghosts. It is seriously creepy as duck to pretend your dead mother hangs around the house and watches you eat/sleep/wank when someone you love dies. How is it not creepy that you want them to be tethered to you for all eternity, watching your every move? Funerals. Dress up a dead person so people can come stare at them. There is a therapeutic effect to grieving in groups. Misery loves company. But I don't think it requires looking at the dead person. How old is your child? 26 months. Your kid is 2. The lack of independent verification whenever any source proclaims anything. Nope. Just gonna believe that right away and go tell the same thing to everyone I meet. How often this question ends up in the top, and it's child beauty pageants every time. Professional sports. I got really high one time and watched football and was just like, these are grown men playing a game. And everyone is taking this very seriously. Even worse is televised college sports, where you have 60-year-old commentators obsessed with the sports lives of 18-year-olds. And they are taking it very seriously. The news. Especially the local news. Hey, let's tell you about all the death and tragedies in the city without giving you any actual information. Also reporting after shootings. Former local news producer here. Most of the information you see is what police are willing to tell you. Basically, you're getting all we know. Birthday cakes. Think about it. Bunch of people put candles on an object, chant around it, and then cut it up. To be fair, there's a distinct difference between chanting happy birthday to you and chanting Fnglumgalwanafkfalhuraliawaganagulftan. In this thread, the word circumcision over and over again. Child beauty pageants. Prison ape. Literally anything to do with religion. Human trafficking, not really a norm. But whatever. Funerals. Not much else. Really. Talking at groping and grabbing pussy and saying it is legit locker room banter. Edit. I did not expect this to get as much attention as it did. This is not a Trump vs Clinton post. This topic and poster about the creepiest thing society accepts as a cultural norm. Clearly. Some replies below prove my point. Father-daughter virginity pledges. This is not a societal norm. This is a societal abnorm. Factory farms. By a landslide. The horrors we hide from view. It really is like something from a dystopian novel. Just the cold-bloodedness of it. There's no thanking Mother Earth or anything, it's just a factory. Religion protecting pedophiles. Here comes the downvotes. Religion, the idea that some supernatural entity is looking down on me and will punish me if I do not follow its rules. That it also requires that I worship it in a variety of numerous ways depending on which religion my supernatural entity is the leader of. The idea of this might have been a good thing back when humanity did not know its source from its elbow, but now when we know so much about who and what we are, this belief is more of a hindrance than a help. Like so many of our past beliefs. Flat Earth. For humors. Witches etc. It needs to be relegated to the entertainment section of our everyday lives, and not remain within the political and lawmaking section. Not perhaps the most eloquently phrased message, but it gets across what I'm trying to say, I hope. Woe bashing religion on Reddit. You madman. Genital mutilation either in females or males. Oh. But when it's a peen they call it circumcision. I guess mutilation is way too offensive. My husband wanted to have our son circumcised. I said fine. But first you need to read about how it's done. He did. And changed his mind. And to the argument of, but dad's circumcised, and what if kid asks why his peen is different? Just explain it. Vags all look different too. Get over it. People. You're born with foreskin. It's literally only slipped off because of religion. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.